dare Brad Ingelsby to make a bad season of TV. I dare him. I've been eagerly anticipating Task ever since it was announced. Mare of Easttown, just for the record, I reviewed the show on my channel years ago. It's one of my favorite miniseries of all time. I think about that show like monthly, at least once a month. I'm like, I love that show, and it's just like made the way into one of my favorite shows of all time. And after that, I was like, I'm there for whatever he does next. And when it was announced that this show was going to be in the same universe of Mare of Easttown, I was like, that's an interesting little kind of take. I'm so happy to say that this show delivered. This is the gritty, intense, adrenaline pumping show that I so desperately was searching for. I feel like similar to my thoughts on Mare of Easttown, I wasn't quite hooked by the first episode. It took me a little bit, but by episode 2 I found myself really getting on board and just eager to click play on the next one. One of the first things that stood out to me is how great the accents are. The accents in Mare of Easttown were phenomenal and very similar here. Like, you would be convinced that these actors are from Philly. I feel like that is a big point that people just so often overlook with a performance, is nailing a specific area, wherever the show is taking place, the region, whatever. You gotta nail the accent, and accents go a long way into delivering that compelling work. Everyone here, terrific. And speaking of their performances, honestly, all of them are award worthy. They are worthy of the recognition because they deliver compelling, emotional, and really just captivating work. Mark Ruffalo, this is one of his finest performances. I don't know if anything will top Foxcatcher for me, but still, he's just one of the best talents working today. Tom Pelphrey is an actor that I'm unfamiliar with because I hadn't really seen much of him up until this point, and I was blown away by his work here, really delivering on the compelling dilemma here that the show goes into between crossing the line and balancing what it means to be good and evil. Can you be both? And what it means to be a all-around decent human being. Can you be that? Jamie McShane, Emilia Jones, wonderful work from everyone. One of the things I really liked about the show is how during a flashback sequence, it'll change an aspect ratio and it becomes more cinematic in the sense. Little detail like that can go a long way into really getting you from kind of that meme where you're like sitting and then you're kind of inching yourself towards the screen. You're like, oh, I'm locked in. Underneath the crime drama, this is a show that it's not just that, and that's why I think Brad Ingelsby does so good. That's why he's one of the best showrunners working today, because he can have a show that is one thing on its surface, but underneath it's a really compelling and gripping, something that you can really sink your teeth into type of show. It's tackling many things, but obviously the divide between being good or evil, and also being almost suffocated by your family and being trapped, the conditions that you're in, trying to break through and really struggling to not be able to do that, or not finding yourself being pulled back by it. And again, just the push and pull between good and evil, and seeing each character's action, they feel justified based on these characters that we learn very early on. Tom Pelphrey's character, he has a conflicted moral compass, to say the least, and most of the time those are the most compelling characters to see their actions play out and whatever end that their character comes to. If I had to say my biggest complaint with the season as a whole, and I think the show was going to be just a miniseries and not a season 2, I don't really know where they would go from here. Episode 6 was super intense, but the pacing was kind of off. There were moments where I would be on the edge of my seat, and then there were moments where I was kind of like, okay, I kind of wish it was just a little bit more tight. Even at 7 episodes, the length could have been trimmed, maybe just a couple minutes by each episode. And I was worried, similar with Mare of Easttown actually, because it kind of seems like the main conflict is resolved around just before you get to the finale, and then the finale is tying together everything else that is kind of lingering and not leaving any loose threads, which totally appreciate. But to be honest, I'd be lying if I wasn't a little hesitant going into the finale, being like, how can I wrap this up in a satisfying, fulfilling manner? I shouldn't have had any doubt in Ingelsby and co, because this show really gave me a satisfying finale, a great way to tie everything up. I didn't feel like it was a perfect bow, wrapped everything up. I think for me, when it can really go just above and beyond is when you can sit with the uncomfortable parts. Like Mark Ruffalo's character, he has to make a really tough decision in the final episode, and I love the monologue that he delivers and how everything wraps up. Just very satisfying to me. Especially this show can be really emotional in Tom Pelphrey's character and how he's still reeling from the loss of his brother. He's trying to figure out what is valuable to him and how can he get vengeance. And that's sometimes some of the most compelling work, once again. And so overall, I feel like this show went from a really good to a great by the time it was all said and done. It's gritty, has excellent performances. Like, this is Emmy Award worthy stuff we're talking about here. I love when Inglesby can take a small town drama and make it this really, honestly, like, you feel like the weight of the world is on these characters' shoulders. You know, sort of write compelling conflicts and familial drama. I couldn't have been more satisfied, to be honest. I'm gonna give Task a B+, and I would definitely recommend checking the show out if you haven't already. Be sure to leave your thoughts on the show down below in the comments. Did you love it like I did, or was it not really for you? Let me know. I want to thank you so much for watching this review, and if you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and as always, look forward to more content coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.